All righty. Good afternoon, everyone. It's 4:05, so we're going to get started here. I just want to welcome everyone to the sixth version of the draft FY23 to FY28 Capital Transportation Plan in coordination with the Delaware Department of Transportation and the Council on Transportation, also in coordination with Sussex County. Jamie is going to be presenting on the FAST program. I think there might be a little issue with the technical things, so we're just going to give it just a second. Thank you very much, Megan. So Jamie is going to be presenting on that fast track program. Next slide, please. Okay, so just a few housekeeping rules for public comment. So we are going to be having public comment, but we are reserving that until the end of the presentation. So good afternoon and welcome. Here are some quick instructions on how we will handle questions and public comment during today's CTP public meeting. If you would like to type your question in the Zoom session, please use the question and answer function. If you have joined the Zoom session via PC or other device, you can also raise your hand to ask a question. To raise your hand, look for the raise hand button on the menu at the bottom of your screen. If you are dialed in by phone only, you can also press *9 to raise your hand. Keep in mind, we won't know your name, so we'll identify you by your phone number when calling on you. You can also press *6 to unmute yourself. For public comment, you are allowed 3 minutes and your topic should be transportation related as per the workshop agenda. Lastly, you can view closed captioning by clicking on the associated button at the bottom of your screen. We are also recording this session and we will post it to our social media platforms shortly after the presentation. So just FYI, there are many ways to submit public comment. So obviously during this session, you can do the question and answer, the raised hand. With the question and answer, what I will do is kind of restate the question and then either provide an answer that we have already drafted, or there are many other ways. You can email any questions to Jennifer.Cinelli, CINELLI @delaware.gov. We're going to be, Jen is going to be monitoring her email. Plus, you can, there is an online survey that you can use to, and I'll show this later on in the presentation, but there's a very cool way to submit public comment via our ARCGIS platform. And then you can also send an email to our community relations at .public@delaware.gov with the subject draft FY23 to FY28 CTP, or you can also call community relations at 302-760-2080. So with all of that housekeeping behind us, again, we will hold public comment till the end. And the great thing about the CTP public comment is that it started on September 15th. That's when we did the first Newcastle County meeting, and it's going to be extended. You can submit public comment at any time until November 15th of 2021. Megan, next slide, please. Okay, so today's presenters, we have a very interesting and engaging presentation for you. So again, my name is Pam Steinbach, and I am the new Director of Planning for DelDOT. We also have Jamie Whitehouse, the Director of Planning and Zoning for Sussex. He's going to be going over, like I said, the fast track program and some CTP process update. The DART updates are going to be provided by Catherine Smith, the planning manager for DART for First State. And then it's going to be handed back to me. We'll be going over the 9 new proposed projects that are slated to be added into the new CTP. And then Brian Behrens, the group engineer for Project Development South at DelDOT, will highlight a few notable projects, either in the design phase or just starting construction or in construction. And then we will, the rest of the time will be allocated to public comment. So with that, next slide, please. I will be quiet and Jamie can start his presentation. Jamie?
Good afternoon, everyone. If we jump to the next slide, please. My name is Jamie Whitehouse. I'm the Planning and Zoning Director for Sussex County. I'm joining you all today from sunny Georgetown, if you can tell from the camera. Colleagues in DelDOT have some slides on the overall CTP update process to show you all later in today's presentation, but I wanted to begin today's discussion by providing a brief introduction to how the Capital Transportation Programme update operates in Sussex County. We jump to the previous slide, please. This is the FAST program slide. Nope, we're going to start with FAST. So my slides are slightly out of order. So if I can start by talking to you all about the Fast Track program. Now, the FAST stands for Funding Accelerating Safety in Transportation. This initiative was approved by Sussex County Council on December 15th of 2020. It's a first of its kind plan to use a set aside of county funds to jumpstart road improvements that are planned but are not imminent on the state's 6-year capital transportation projects list. And under the Fast Track program, Sussex County would provide up to $5 million to accelerate projects included in the Delaware Department of Transportation's Capital Transportation Program, or CTP. County funds would be earmarked for the design work, right-of-way acquisition, and construction costs. DelDOT, in turn, would fully administer any project that came forward, and at the completion of the project, DelDOT would reimburse the county for the full amount of the funds provided. The thinking behind this initiative is that by giving DelDOT an immediate infusion of cash, projects that are planned but are awaiting state and federal funding would move up DelDOT's priority list more quickly, shaving off as much as 5 years for a project's completion. Any project to be advanced under the Fast Track program would be selected based on a number of criteria, with an emphasis placed on safety, development pressure, other infrastructure investments, and ancillary service needs, for example, school needs or medical facility needs in any given particular area. That the process doesn't circumvent or replace any of the public's ability to replace and comment on the project proposals. Rather, the program is intended to be a mechanism for funding projects that are already developed and have already been commented on by the public as part of the annual CTP process. And if I could give an example of that, which is the example shown on the right side of your screen, the first example to come through is the Cave Neck, Hudson, and Sweetbriar Road west of Lewis. This intersection was actually ranked 77th under the FY21 to FY26 Capital Transportation Programme, and preliminary engineering was not set to begin on this project until the year 2025. However, with fast track funding from the county, this project has now been moved forward to 2021, and I believe it's already in the design phase. So this is an example of how nearly 5 years was shaved off the design process and has accelerated the implementation of that project. Next slide, please. If I can provide a very brief overview of the CTP update process. In fact, we appear to be missing a slide. Yes, we are missing a slide, but I will still talk to the process, because what I'd like to outline is that the Capital Transportation Programme update starts with Sussex County. And I did have a slide to show you of the webpage that we used to actually receive public comments. And basically the process is that a web form was added to the county's website in April of this year, and this form invited potential ideas on updates. In total, we received 17 ideas that were submitted to the county, and we received updates and ideas on a variety of projects, including intersection safeties, pedestrian safety, pedestrian and bicycle trails, pavements, road conditions, roadway access, traffic signals, stoplights, and some other ideas. From that, those ideas were reviewed and semi-final candidates were selected and presented to the county's Planning and Zoning Commission and County Council during the summer of this year. And those projects have resulted and come forward as part of the CTP update process. Colleagues in Deldart have some slides to talk to you about the overall process, but hopefully that provides you an overview of how we've arrived to today's meeting from the county's perspective. And with that being said, I'm happy to answer any questions at the end of today's presentation. Thank you.
Great, Jamie, thank you so much. All right, so we are going to be turning it over to Kathy, who is going to be doing our DART updates.
Hello and good afternoon, and welcome to Delaware Transit Corporation's portion of the virtual public hearing workshop for the capital transportation projects for fiscal years 2023 through 2028. My name is Kathy Smith, and I'm the planning manager with DART. Next slide, please. For the statewide projects, every 12 years, DART retires and replaces older buses with new buses that operate in fixed route service. For Sussex County in fiscal year 2023, 20 30-foot buses, transit buses would replace older diesel buses. Next slide, please. Also, for the expansion of the fixed route transit fleet, 2 additional 30-foot buses would be purchased for Sussex County in FY 2023. Older paratransit vehicles operating in Sussex County would be retired and replaced with newer vehicles. Under our federal 5310 vehicle program, the older buses in Sussex County would be replaced with new buses. Next slide, please. The Georgetown Transit Hub is planned for a major renovation of the existing facility. Presently, the site is located on a stone lot with limited rider amenities and poor drainage. DTC received approval from the city of Georgetown to construct the new transit hub. The new facility, as shown on this slide, would include a paved surface, security fence, landscaping, cameras, digital next bus departure information, new bus shelters, and an ADA compliant loading area and sidewalk. Next slide, please. The Rehoboth Park and Ride, when constructed, was adequate for the services provided at that time. However, with more bus routes and scheduled service offered, the present configuration of the Rehoboth Park and Ride is not conducive for multiple bus routes and patrons who park and ride. The goal is to design a facility to improve the bus circulation, improve the boarding area, vehicle parking, and construct a new ticket and passenger waiting area. Solar panels would be added to cover a portion of the facility, along with installing electric bus charging infrastructure. Next slide, please. DART has purchased and presently operates 16 electric buses statewide. We have received our 4th Federal Transit Administration grant of $3.5 million to purchase additional electric buses for fixed route services. As part of this grant, electric chargers to support the operations of these electric buses would also be acquired. When these buses are placed in service, DART will soon be operating a fleet of 26 electric buses statewide, which represents 10% of our current vehicle fleet. Next slide, please. This slide is an example of what our electric bus looks like at the Lewis Transit Center. Next slide, please. And this slide shows an example of our electric charger depot in the beach bus area. This helps to power the electric buses. Thank you very much, and I'm turning it over to Pam.
Great, thank you so much. That was very informative. Okay, so I am up now. So I will be going over the draft FY23, FY28 DelDOT and Council on Transportation Capital Transportation Program, which I will be calling the CTP. So this is going to be the proposed 9 new projects that are selected to be added in. Next slide, please. So just to give you some background on the Capital Transportation Program. Every 2 years, the Department of Transportation develops the 6-year CTP that identifies anticipated capital investments. This program is developed in coordination with all the various MPOs. So the Wilmapco, the Dover-Kent MPO, the Salisbury, Comico MPO, and Sussex County. The program provides information on various DelDOT capital and maintenance programs and on the estimated cost expenditures for the project phasing of a capital project that is anticipated for each fiscal year. So we have a great website that has all of the links to our planning partners on the left-hand side, as you can see the screenshot of the CTP website. You can also just search, if you just open up Google, if you just search DelDOT CTP, this should come up. And then we, like I had mentioned before, we have a very cool ARCGIS software program that will help in viewing what all of the projects are, not just in Sussex, but throughout the whole state. And then you can also provide comments. So next slide, please. Okay, so the CTP is on a biennial schedule. So so in the spring, the draft projects were identified by the MPOs in Sussex. They were then prioritized with a very structured and robust prioritization program. And then in August, the Council on Transportation Transportation reviewed the draft and recommended it to be released for public comment. So that's where we are right now. We are holding public meetings in each county. This is the last one. And then in that, after all of the public comment, when that ends November 15th, then we will compile all of the comments. We will present the comments back to the Council on Transportation. And then if they are, if all is okay there, then in February, the COT votes to adopt the CTP. It gets sent to the chair signs it, and then it gets sent to the governor. Next slide, please. Okay, so just a small breakdown of, well, when I mean a small bullet points, not small amounts. So we have a entire CTP budget draft of 4.04 billion. We have the breakdowns of Newcastle at 2.03 billion, Kent at 0.71, and Sussex at 1.3. So these are all of the projects that are currently in the CTP in various phases. So it could be preliminary engineering, it could be a project could be in the right-of-way phase, or it could be in the construction phase. So all of the projects add up to the 4.04 billion. Just an FYI, so the projects that we are going to be that I'm going to be talking about tonight, they are just 9 of the 106 proposed, well, the 106 prioritized projects that are part of the CTP. But we have many other projects and programs that get funded as part of the CTP, things that are grouped. So for instance, certain traffic projects get grouped into a roll-up of their program. There are a bunch of bridge projects that have that same type of roll-up. We have a whole slew of rolled up projects, but they are just listed as one line item in the CTP. So so the 106 is by no means the only projects that are in the CTP. I just wanted to kind of explain that because I'm going to go over the rankings and where they are ranked, and I just wanted to make sure that everybody understood that. So we have our rounding out the last one tonight, and then we will be done with the actual meetings. But again, you have until November 15th for any public comment. Right, next slide, please. Okay, so the first project that I'm going to be going over is the Falling Point Vines Creek intersection improvement. So this is in Dagsboro, or near Dagsboro. It is ranked 100 of the 106 projects. The PE, or the preliminary engineering, is slated for FY28. So that means, my apologies, we have a lot of acronyms. So FY28 means fiscal year 2028. So that runs from mid 2027 to mid 2028. Next slide, please. So this was identified by the county with having safety concerns, especially during the peak summer season. Megan, if you could launch into, so this is the ARCGIS program that I was speaking about earlier. And I am just, and so if you scroll down and if you click on new draft projects, and Megan, if you can just hold for 1 sec. So this brings up our lovely state of Delaware. And on the left-hand side it has all of the 13 projects that are draft to be added in. So you can zoom in, or if you specifically know the name, you can actually click on the name on the left-hand side, which Megan is going to do. And that zooms the project in. And then if you hover over the pink line, it comes up with this box that describes that it's an intersection improvement, what the justification is. And what's super cool is if you click on this submit a comment, it brings up this amazing, like very cool comment form. And thanks so much to Bruce for working on this, but it auto populates the project. So if you want to specifically make a comment on this particular project, you can just keep that in there. But if you have a general comment or something, you can back that out and type something, whatever if you had a question about an existing project, if you have an input, whatever your input is, you can just please keep to, no defamatory stuff, of course. So, and then you select which county you reside in. There are a few more questions on how you feel about like the current and proposed transportation network as it relates to that project. So there are a few more boxes, and then you scroll all the way down to see if you would like to be contacted and what your contact information is. You don't have to, you can always put no, it can be anonymous, that's perfectly fine. But what this does is gives us some really good metrics into, we want to really hear what the public has to say. So if we just encourage you and your friends and your neighbors to please submit any type of comment that you're interested in. Okay, you can close out of that. Thank you, Megan. Okay, so the next project is Mulberry Knoll Road from Cedar Grove Road to US 9. So this project, if you can go to the next slide, please, is just over, so it's a proposed new 2-lane roadway to basically connect communities, alleviate congestion, also provides for mobility. And it's just approximately over 2 miles in length, located in Lewis, ranked number 79 of 106. And then the preliminary engineering is slated for FY28. And the source of this project was both the 5 points, one of the 5 points working group recommendations, as well as the Henlopen Transportation Improvement District. Next slide, please. Okay, so the next one we're going to be talking about is Postal Lane. That is from Linden Lane to SR1. This is also in Lewis. Oh, hold on for a sec. I don't know if I have that ranking correct. I think I copied and pasted, and I'm not sure if that is the right ranking. But if somebody can put the correct ranking in the chat, then I can let, or you can always just unmute yourself. But so that is selected for FY28 as well on the preliminary engineering. Next slide, please. So yes, so also the same source, the 5 Points Working Group, as well as the Henlopen TID. And this project is a roadway improvement to include shoulders, sidewalk, and a bicycle lane. All right, next slide, please. Next one is Redden Road from Oak Road to King's Cross Roads. So it's between Bridgeville and Georgetown, ranked 98. It's about 5 miles long. So we're looking, next slide, please. Looking at roadway improvements, possibly doing some safety and alignment improvements, possible widening of the lanes, and providing shoulders. So there has been a lot of growth in recent years. So this project came out of the Coastal Corridors study. So thank you, Anson. So Postal Lane is ranked 72 of 106. Thank you very much. Okay, next project is Shapey Road from Plantation Road to SR1. This is in Lewis as well, just under a mile, just under a half a mile in length. It's ranked 88 of 106. You can, next slide, please. This is to, this project will include turn lanes, some multi-use sidewalks, some shoulders for possibly bike lanes, just to provide safe movement of all types, especially in this area, having a combination of vehicles and scooters and bicycles and walking. There's just many modes in this area. So our job is to provide mobility for all. So this project also came out of the 5 Points Working Group, as well as the Henlopen Transportation Improvement. And I thought that I had put that link for the Henlopen TID, but when we put the presentation up, we'll make sure to have that link for you. Next slide, please. Okay, so the next 3 projects are grade separated intersections along US 113. So the first one, and they're all in the Georgetown area. So next slide, please. So this project plus the other 2 GSIs that I'm going to be talking about came out of the US 113 North-South study that got finished up in the fall of 2017. So it just provides for safe movement through the corridor and to help some of the corridor access. And then just one sec. So this project is ranked 26 of 106. So being a very big safety project, it does rank up there. Next slide, please. The next one is 113 at Redden Road. So this project was ranked 19. That is for all of the new projects. This one was ranked the highest. The same thing came out of the 113 North South. So the PE, the preliminary engineering for all of these grade separated intersections starts approximately right now. It's drafted at starting in FY 27. And since they are very large projects, it spans over 2 fiscal years for the design. Okay, next slide, please. And we had already talked about that. So then the third, next slide, please. So then the third one along 113 is 113 Shortley / Bedford roads. So this again, next slide, please, was also I identified. So they all were identified for traffic and safety improvements. I'm sure if you do live down there, it is the circles and such. So that were the 3 GSIs. This one, my apologies. This one is actually ranked 17, so it's 2 up from the red GSI. So this is the one that's ranked the highest. All right, and then the last project, next slide, please. The last project that we're going to be talking about, the 9th project, is an intersection improvement along West Line Road at 54 and Lighthouse. So this, next slide, please, was identified by the county in the same type as the first one, the vines, as just being an intersection improvement, but both of those intersections have a funky skews associated with them. So they have the county identified this to address safety, traffic growth, and seasonal traffic. So that is all I have. Next slide, please. So I'm going to be turning it over to Brian Behrens. He is one of the group engineers for Project Development South, and he's going to be going over a few notable projects that he and his team are working on.
Thank you, Pam. So as Pam mentioned, I'm the group engineer for Project Development South. So I'm going to share with you this afternoon some of the projects that we've been working on for the last several years that we're excited about, that are starting to move into the construction phase. A lot of them you probably will recognize if you've been following the projects over the last few years. And as Pam mentioned as well, the department has committed, $1.3 billion, which is a rather large investment in Sussex County. So we're very excited to show off some of these projects. They're some of our larger ones. And before I go into that, I just want to reiterate that all of our major projects follow a complete streets mentality. This includes facilities for transit, bike, pedestrians, and motor vehicles, and freight as well, to try to move those services. And the screen that's up right now has our website for our projects for more info. I want to tout that a little bit. If you go into there, not just the projects that are there tonight, but anything that's in design, you can go in there and search by name, search by zooming in on the map, and all of the project information is there, as well as contact information for the project managers. Next slide, please. So this first slide is meant to be kind of a highlight of the SR24 corridor. For those that are familiar, you are seeing the construction beginning, and all of the work that is either already ongoing or planned to be in construction over the next few years is kind of captured here. The SR24 corridor projects that are highlighted in yellow that are shown here, they're already either in construction or will be in the next year. Beginning near the top of the page, for those familiar, the current project in construction from Mulberry Knoll to SR1. That one and the next one down from Love Creek to Mulberry Knoll includes widening, capacity type improvements that are already underway or will be soon. From there, the next projects are largely our safety improvement type projects, in addition to Burton's Pond Dam. which is a bridge project. So those types of projects, we're creating turn lanes that don't currently exist, lengthening turn lanes to help solve some of the congestion issues that we see out there, and to help fix some of the crash patterns that we see. So the source, the origin of those projects is safety related. At the bookends of 24, we're also showing two of our larger projects, the Plantation Road Improvements Project to the near Coastal Highway. That's planned to be built in 2 phases. The first phase is nearing the construction phase. That's the one that is near 5 Points. It includes a multi-lane roundabout. It's currently in the right-of-way acquisition phase right now. And towards the bottom of the screen is the North Millsboro Bypass Project. And that project is currently in design and right-of-way acquisition. It's planned to begin in 2023. Next slide, please. So the next project is our SR1 and SR16 grade separated intersection project. This originated from our HEP program, our hazard elimination program. So it's rooted in safety as well. We identified a high crash rate at this intersection. It's also part of DelDOT's SR1 corridor capacity program. So we've been making our way down the SR1 corridor from Dover for the last 15 years with these grade separation overpass projects. And this is the next one in line. So design and right-of-way are both complete on this project. We'll be advertising this one in the next few weeks. We expect to start construction in the spring. And construction is expected to take about 3 years. Next slide. So this is a rendering of what that project could look like. For anyone familiar with what we built a few years ago, just south of Dover at Little Heaven, this will actually take SR1 over Route 16. So that the view that you're looking at there is the Rookery just to the front of the screen, and that's SR1 going over Route 16 with the ramps connecting it. Next slide. The next project is our Park Avenue relocation, the first phase of the Park Avenue relocation project. This project will actually help create a more direct truck route around the town of Georgetown, as well as help solve some safety related issues at the existing intersection of Park Avenue and South Bedford Street. The project will realign Park Avenue near the airport at Wood Branch Road and Cedar and line it up with Air Safety Road, creating a new intersection at South Bedford Street, and that's proposed to be a single lane roundabout. Design and right-of-way acquisition are both complete for this project, and we expect to advertise this in the next few weeks as well, with construction beginning in the spring. We think that'll take about 2 years for construction to complete. Next slide. Our next project is the US 113, SR404 and SR18 grade separated intersection project. This project's in Georgetown as well. To get your bearings here, 113 on this slide is shown from going left to right on the page. North towards Ellendale is to the right, and south towards Millsboro would be to the left. Just to the top of the page is the Deltec. So this project will take SR 404 over US 113 and connect it on either side with loop ramps and acceleration and deceleration lanes. So we are also proposing to widen US 113 to a 6-lane section with this project. So that'd be 3 lanes in each direction. This project is still in design, but has started the right-of-way acquisition phase. So we expect that to wrap up in 2024, at which point we'll start construction. And this project, we anticipate about 3 years of construction for this. Next slide, please. The last project that we're going to present here this afternoon is the SR1 and minus Conaway grade separated intersection project. So this project is one of our larger and more impactful projects that we have in eastern kind of coastal Sussex, coastal region of Sussex County. So the location is just north of 5 Points in Lewis, and the project scope involves basically retrofitting a grade separated intersection into the available right-of-way that we have under the existing Nassau bridges that carry SR1. So it's a unique approach. The railroad corridor, the railroad was decommissioned in 2017, which led to the creation of the very popular Lewis to Georgetown Trail. So this project will actually shift that trail location to behind the piers that are under that hold the bridge, that support the bridge, and it will make way for us to build a roadway in its place. The roadway will line up with New Road at Nassau Road, and will connect on either side with 2-way service roads and roundabouts for the intersection control. This project also involves reconstructing most of SR1. The need for the project is based in both safety and capacity preservation for local roads and SR1. We see a crash pattern at all of the median crossovers along SR1, so they're all proposed to be removed with this project. And it's also consistent with the goals of the SR1 corridor capacity preservation program, very similar to our other projects like 116 that was mentioned earlier. So this project is nearing final design and it's currently in the right-of-way acquisition phase. We expect to begin construction on this in 2023. Next slide, please. We have a few project renderings of what this one will look like. The top left shows the proposed roundabout at looking towards Nassau Road and New Road. So this roundabout is the proposed one that carries the two-way service road that will be built west of SR1. The top right photo shows where the Nassau Road exit is today and what that will look like in the future as an off-ramp for a grade separation. The bottom left shows a car in this, that is where the Lewis to Georgetown trail is today. So that's what the roadway will look like once we are converting that and move the trail to behind the piers. And the bottom right is an aerial view of the Nassau Road and New Road proposed roundabout. So the bottom right is where Old World Breads is located for those familiar with the area. And the SR1 and the Nassau Bridges are just to the left in that photo. That concludes my part of the presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions once we get to that part. And Pam, I'll turn it back over to you. Thanks.
Great, Brian. Thank you so much. And my apologies on your voice. You're a trooper. So, okay. So again, so that is our official presentation for the new draft projects, as well as the DART updates, some cool things from the county, as well as some of the projects that Brian just highlighted, like they did that his team is working on. So now we are going to open it up for public comment. So again, there are many ways to post your comment. You can raise your hand and we can unmute you and we can call on you so you can verbally or orally speak your question or comment. You could also type the question into the chat, or excuse me, into the question and answer. And then you can, if you are on your phone, you can raise your hand by pressing *9 and we'll be able to see you on the computer and we'll call on you. And then again, there is the link at the bottom of the page to send the survey to community relations. You can also telephone them, and if you want to, to provide public comment that way, you can email Jen at jennifer.cinelli, CINELLI@delaware.gov, or you can also use the ARCGIS link at the bottom of the page. So there are many, many ways. We wanted to get as many modes of communication as we possibly could. Okay, so I don't see any hands. So there was just one question about posting the ARCGIS link that was from Councilwoman Randy Meredith. Just asked about the ARCGIS link. So that is at the bottom of this, as well as if you just type del.ctp into your web browser, that will pull up the CTP website and the ARCGIS link is there. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so I have a question, some open questions. So Yul Lee, my apologies if I messed up your name, but the question was, are the budgets for 6 years for FY23 to FY28. So we're going to answer that. I assume that you, so let me just see if I can. So the CTP, the Capital Transportation Plan, is a 6-year plan. So we have budgeted all of the projects that are in the CTP for the biennial basis. So right now, and please correct me if I'm wrong, anyone, but I think right now we're working on the current CTP that we're working on for projects right now is FY21 to 26. That's the current CTP. This draft, the new CTP that's going to be adopted next year, is the FY23 to 28. If anybody on the panel has something that they'd like to add on that, please do so. Okay, so thank you so much for that question. All right, the next question I have is from Councilwoman Randy Meredith, and the question is, will there be pedestrian/cycling bridges added to cross Route 1? Question mark. It could be beautiful and a beautiful and practical series of infrastructure plus art installations. So currently, just speaking up for this presentation, none of the projects that are in the draft CTP have any pedestrian bridges over SR1 being proposed. I'm not sure if Councilwoman, if you want to unmute yourself, just so maybe somebody from the county or somebody from our planning set, if you can maybe give a little bit more, if there's a specific area along Route 1, or if you were talking specifically about the 5 Points area. I'm just not sure where exactly you were speaking of.
Okay, so basically I'm speaking of where all the businesses are along that part of Route 1. There's a lot of people who want to be on one side and then cross over, but if they're on foot, they can't do that. Mm-hmm. And if I went to Bilbao, Spain a few years ago, and they have the most amazing, beautiful pedestrian bridges and cycling bridges. And I just think that if we had something like that along that corridor, it would actually make it more beautiful. It's kind of not the best looking area because of all the traffic, but these could be, it could be lovely.
Well, so thank you so much. And Jen is our Sussex planner, and I think she can speak a bit to that.
Hi, Councilwoman Meredith, how are you? 5 Points Transportation Study is currently looking at one of the recommendations that was made by the 5 Points Working Group, and actually was one of the most high prioritized item by the public when we went out to public workshop, which is a pedestrian bridge somewhere along the Route 1 corridor. So stay tuned. We did speak to it a little bit at our last 5 Points meeting. There's going to be more information to come soon. So stay tuned. It is in the works.
That's great. Thank you.
Sure.
Great. Thank you, Jen. Thank you so much for that question. So the only other thing I had currently outstanding was that Kathleen Baker had just thanked the presenters, the DELDOT team, and Jamie for the very lucid presentation. So thank you so much for that comment. See here. Okay, so I'm just trying to, so we have a question or a comment from Jay Tomlinson. So since this is an official public comment period, and we would normally be in person, that there would be a stenographer or such, but I was trying to, I will just read the question, and then one of our panelists can answer it. So again, the question is from Jay Tomlinson. So it says, the question is, please review the status and items of interest for the project for the number 5 ranked Kings Highway CTP, including findings of the recently completed highway survey, timeline for stakeholder and public meetings to review designs, and how DelDOT will and protect the right-of-way in light of current construction projects like Big Oyster and Fancy Pants, among others. Are there slides for the Kings Highway CTP like those presented by Brian Behrens for the Kings Highway project to show illustrations and designs? Kings Highway was on the FY21 to 26 plans.
I could take that take that one,
Okay,
Pam.
great. Thank you, Brian.
So Jay, thanks for the comment, and I apologize for my voice. But so Kings Highway is in design. It started design in this fiscal year. So we're working on developing a concept that's consistent with what was developed in the master plan, something that's buildable. And at which point we're ready to share that with the general public. We will. Doing a little bit of outreach with the internal DelDOT support sections, as well as the stakeholders that put together the master plan group in the coming months. So I would look for something from DelDOT here soon to kind of, unveil what we're talking about, what we hope to build out there. But it is moving forward. It's in design. And once we have that concept refined, we'll have a design schedule established. But it is moving forward. I hope that answers your question.
Great. Thank you so much, Brian. And Mr. Tomlinson, if you don't want to speak, if hopefully that answered your question. If you have any more, please type that into the question and answer. So, okay, so we have another question from Yule Lee, and that is, so the 1.3 million budget for Sussex is to be distributed between FY23 and 28. I think that's 1.3 billion, but thank you for that question. Art, I'm not sure if Art's our resident finance panelist, and I think I'm just going to shoot that over to Art for that answer, if you don't mind, Art.
No, not at all. Thanks, Pam, and thanks, Yul, for the question. Yes, so that $1.3 billion figure is for the 23 through 28 estimated spend plan. And Yul, in regards to your previous question, if you'd like more detail about the individual projects in Sussex that we've covered this evening, I believe the link to our CTP page has our spend plan, which goes into detail for each phase of those projects in Sussex County, either PE, right-of-way, or construction, the amounts for state and federal funding or other funding that are identified for each fiscal year from 23 through 28. So if you're having any trouble sleeping and you want to get into the weeds with some of those projects, all that detailed information is available.
Great, Art. Thank you so much.
And Pam, I did put the ctp.deldot.gov link up under her question.
Great. Excellent. Thank you. Yule thanks you, Art. So there we go. Excellent. All righty. Well, we're at 5:04, and we would like to hear any questions or comments that you have about the draft projects or any other questions related to Delta. Oh, Jen, yes.
I'm sorry, Pam, I'm sorry. So I see a lot of familiar names. So I just wanted to kind of check in with some of the people that have been following 5 Points transportation study and let them know that we are having our meeting October 26th at 6 p.m. It will be virtual. Look for more details to come out soon. And then the other studies that are running right now, which is the Southeast Sussex study, we are looking to do a public workshop later this year or early next year. The Coastal Corridor study, pretty much the same thing. And then Mulberry Knoll, I believe we are scheduling for October 26th. So the night after the 5 Points Working Group meeting, we will have a Mulberry Knoll public workshop occurring then. So stay tuned, lots going on in Sussex County.
Great, thank you, Jen. So so that people know, is the 5 Points is virtual. The Mulberry Knoll, that one's going to be virtual as well.
So far, everything is going to be on a virtual platform. We just are trying to keep everybody safe. So yep, everything right now is scheduled virtually.
Okay, thank you for that
Thanks.
clarification. Well, I'm not sure how much you want to hear me talk about random things. So I will, we will keep monitoring the question and answer and the raise hand function. Jen will keep monitoring her email. If you have, so right now there are no active questions or comments. So we're just going to hold tight until we get a question or comment.
Pam, Miss Lee does have her hand raised.
Is there any way that somebody can unmute her? Because I don't see that. So that
Yes,
would
can you hear me?
Yes, hi.
Hi, Pam.
Hello, nice to hear from you. And a person from the public that I can hear, that's great.
Yes, I'm, not familiar with this 6-year plan. So the public comment, what kind of comments can we make? Can we make comments like recommendation for new project or bump up this priority, or what kind of public comments are you expecting?
Sure, yeah, that's a very good question. Mike, I'm not sure. So Mike Duras is, he probably has had the most experience with the CTP process. I've been in this job about 6 weeks now. Well, no, my apologies, 2 months now. So I can only assume that you are more than welcome to submit any transportation related projects, any type of mode or such. But I would assume that you are more than welcome to, if you had a question or a comment about the ranking of the project, or if you have an idea of a new one, I think all of those are valid and potential comments. Mike, I'm not sure if you can unmute yourself to, if there's anything else that you or Anson or Jen want to add.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yeah, we can, Mike. Hi.
I think Pam summarized it well. At this point in time, we would be very happy to receive any comment that a member of the public wished to make regarding one of the 9 projects that we presented today, or suggestions or recommendations for any other project. We can't get those types of recommendations in for this FY23 cycle, but we can certainly have them on our radar for the next round of funding, or for the next update of the CTP in 2 years. So, basically any comment across any of the methods that we've suggested today would be most welcome. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank you
you
for
much.
the answer.
Great. Thank you for your question. All right. Jay Tomlinson has his hand raised. So Jay, I think if you want to unmute yourself, are you there, Jay?
Yes, I am. Good afternoon. Thanks for holding the meeting, Pam, and thanks and welcome to the new role. So
Thank you.
it's just great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just generally, I had asked or tried to ask a written question, which I thought would maybe be easier, but I guess I have a few other things I'd just like to roll out. Number one, why wasn't Kings Highway as the number 5 ranked project, even mentioned on the CTP call without me bringing it up? And this is the first of a few parts to my questions.
Sure. So let me just confirm to Brian or Mike or Art, is the Kings Highway project currently ranked 5?
That I don't know.
Yes, it is. It is. Yes.
Okay. So this public presentation was specifically to roll out the 9 new projects. That is the main intent as part of the Delaware regulations. So we
I understand the 9, but Brian outlined existing projects, and Kings Highway would have been appropriate in that segment.
Gotcha.
I can try to answer that if that's all right.
Well, I was just going to say, Brian, real quick, the ranking of number 5 is in the draft CTP. It was ranked number 6 in the FY21 CTP with design not starting till FY22. So I just wanted to make that clarification.
Thanks, Jen.
So Jay, I guess to better answer your question or to provide some clarification. So our approach to the CTP workshops, they used to be every year and now they're every 2 years, is to try to highlight a few projects that we know are going to be coming online soon, because from the public's perspective, projects that we talk about, like especially our new projects, they're several years away from even my group getting their hands on them and starting the design, which means they're even further out till they're implemented. So it's very tough to talk in the abstract for things like that. So what we choose to do is to present some projects that we have a little bit more of a confidence level in about what is going to be built. We have good concepts and presentation level material that we can share. And with Kings Highway, we are working on the design, but we're just not at a point where we have that to share with you. It's part of our project development process to prepare that and engage with the public. But that's more appropriate earlier in the process for a standalone public workshop just for that project, not necessarily in a CTP workshop where we're talking about the entire DelDOT program. So we want to highlight.
Brian, I appreciate that. That doesn't really answer the question, but when will the community involvement be held specifically? When are we talking about? 2022 mid-year is the soonest public review of the materials?
I don't think that it would be that far out, like a year from now, you mean? I don't think that that's probably what it would be. I think that we're very close as far as our design team is, as far as having a concept that we want to take out to the public. But we do need to do
this year. This
year's probably, I don't think so, but early 22 is probably where we're talking.
Okay. Is there design slides like you presented for the other projects available as part of the Kings Highway program?
Not at this time, but once we have that concept, we will have it on our project website at the link that was shown earlier.
Other projects like the Cave Neck Road projects that are new to the ranking have obviously with the FAST program that Jamie presented passed the timeline for Kings Highway project, which has been in the works since the beginning of the 2000s. So difficult to understand. I'm not quite sure what the delays are or the reason for the secrecy. I'm not trying to get into different roles, but there are specific questions about the timelines and what's going on. And the fact that it wasn't even brought up in the current projects is important. That does concern, me and the people I represent. So we can take that offline, and I can give you a call about that if that's good. So
That
thank
would be
you.
fine.
Again, yeah. But we do need to get a little bit harder information rather than generalities, which is what is being presented at the moment. So we need harder facts about what's eminent with this project. All right, well, that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Jay. Be definitely open to a phone call or anything to talk further about the project. Definitely don't think that there's any secrecy or we don't want to be misleading about our intentions either. We are just working through the concept development and the design was not funded until this fiscal year that we're in. So we're kind of at the early stages. Yeah, but welcome the conversation and I appreciate the comment.
Great, thank you, Brian. Not to inundate you, but I think this next one might be yours as well, since it's a current project, I think. Okay. So Councilwoman Meredith is asking regarding the 113 at SR18 and 404. That's your project.
Yep. Yeah. Okay.
I'm sorry, Brian. I just for the people that if they're on the phone, I have to say the question. My apologies. Okay, so is there or will there be safe access for pedestrians and bicyclists to get from one side to the other, most specifically for accessing Deltec? Take it away. Sorry.
No problem. No problem. Are we able to back up in the slides to that project? That might be helpful.
Sure thing.
Okay, it's probably hard to see on here, but so in general, yes, the answer is yes. So we are proposing a shared use path that will go over Route 113. It'll be next to Route 404 as part of the bridge structure to carry pedestrians and cyclists over Route 113. So there won't be a need to cross Route 113 with the traffic, especially with 6 lanes that we're proposing there. So there'll be connections along the outer ramps as well that will connect back to the existing sidewalks that are on Route 113. So in general, yes, there will be a connection.
Great, thank you so much. All right, she is happy to hear that. Thank you. Okay. I don't see any current questions or raised hands. So Megan, Megan, do you mind just going to the public comment slide, just so if there are people that had a question again, but Miss Lee would like to, is raising her hand and she'd like to ask a question. So Lee, you are good to go to speak. Hi.
Hi, Pam again. My question is about Route 24 Angola Camp Arrowhead improvement project. I think we were told that those projects would start in the spring of 2021 and then delayed to summer of 2021. Now, I think it is 2022 spring. Is there any reason for the delays?
Sure. So Brian, I think poor Brian. Not poor Brian. Okay. I'm only saying poor Brian due to his voice. But if Brian could field that question.
Sure. So I don't have the specifics. I'm not personally involved in the design on that, but the timeline that I have for that project, you're correct, is spring 2022 of a start. But I can dig into that for you and get back to you as far as what led to the later start time. I don't have that for you tonight.
Another question is, hopefully the Angola Road improvement and the Camp Arrowhead improvement would not be at the same time, because the residents from Angola Neck will have to get out either on Angola Road or Camp Arrowhead Road. So I hope somehow there will be a different time period.
So what I can do is have our project manager reach out to you with the
Okay.
specifics of the phasing of that project. It
Okay,
is Camp Arrowhead and Angola is one project. It's 2 intersections, but it is one contract. But the phasing, I can have the project manager reach out to you if there's a way for you to provide your contact information for us. I don't know. Do we have that, Pam, just based on the signups?
That I don't know. Megan, are the emails associated with, all I see are the names. I'm sure you
Oh.
as well, but
I
missing.
just sent it by chat.
Oh, perfect.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank
we
you.
have that. Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you very
tech
much.
savvy, Miss Lee. Very tech savvy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So don't see any active hands raised or questions. Have some time left for the public comment and such. So if you would like to make a comment or you have a question, please enter it into the question and answer or raise your hand. If not, just FYI, we're not going to be having a second presentation or anything. So this is it. So if you want to, at any point until the 15th of November, to submit your comment in the various ways, that would be fantastic. But we're not going to have any more presentations. So if you want to hop off, that is perfectly, up to you, or you can stay on. But right now, we're just going to kind of just wait for any questions or raised hands. And I will, so right now we don't have any, so I'm just going to mute myself and then turn off my video, but we will be monitoring if anybody new hops on, they can ask a question, or if somebody that's on now can ask one, but if not, we're just going to hold tight for a bit. If you can hear me stop rambling. Thank you. I'll be on shortly to check back in. Okay, well, we got a new question. This is from Bobby Joseph. So for the Mulberry Knoll Road project, could you have the project manager contact one of the farmers it may affect? And then they list the farmer's name and contact information. So I'm not, do you mean the Mulberry Knoll extension project, or do you like the one that's in the draft CTP, or the one that Jen is working on? I'm not quite sure if
Pam, I'll reach out. I can reach out to Mr. Freeman. They are
okay.
technically the same thing. The study, we're still in the preliminary study mode. I just want to make sure that it's understood that there is no decision that has been made. When we go out to public workshop at the end of October, we are literally showing preliminary concepts and nothing that has been determined or decided. FHWA has not even issued NEPA or any kind of approvals. So we are really the very beginning of this process for that road. But
Great.
I will reach out to Mr. Freeman.
Great, thank you, Jen.
Sure.
Appreciate it. All right, hopefully that answers your question, Abby. All right, yep, thank you. Awesome. Okay, and then Jay just had a thank you for making yourselves all available and presenting the CTP information in the process. Much appreciated. There is a lot of work to do here in Sussex, so yes, that is 100% correct. Thank you so much for that. Thanks and the comment, Jay. Appreciate it. All right. All right, we will continue to monitor and I will stop my video and mute myself until we hear something else. Thank you so much. Good evening. This is Pam Steinbach. I'm the Director of Planning for DelDOT. So I'm seeing on here that we have a new attendee, Miss Solomon. Hello. So we have conducted the presentation and we're at the public comment stage. So I'm not sure if you have any particular comments or questions right now, but we will have the video of this entire meeting will be available on our social media platforms. Do you have any particular questions or anything right now? Oh, she's raising her hand. So yes, Miss Solomon, if you want to unmute yourself. Hi.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Hi.
Oh, great. Let me start my video. Sorry, or can I? Sorry, I don't know how to put that on right now.
No problem.
Yeah, sorry, I just was looking through the public meeting calendar. I saw this was going on. I'm up in Wilmington, but I thought I would join to see what was going on down south in Delaware.
Oh,
and
okay.
Yeah, and I just wanted to make public comment because I have been speaking with your office about some concerns of mine on Shipley Road with sidewalks and yes, with the sidewalks mainly, and it was an issue that came up because there's a Newcastle County rezone ordinance going through. And when speaking with people in that area that are, for and against this rezone, really the problem is the traffic on Shipley Road and the fact that it's dangerous for kids walking to a local school there called Springer Elementary. And the rezone wants to put yet another school there. So just that, and I think I'm just waiting on a callback from your office for the people in charge of that 202 corridor master replan and their prioritization process for that. And, the expedited way that I could raise that issue in conjunction with all this activity you're having in all three counties. So.
Gotcha, sure. Yeah, well, thank you very much. And so Amy, I know that you had said that you're waiting on a callback. Is there any way in the question and answer, could you share, because it's only seen by the panelists and stuff, could you put your contact email and telephone number and stuff, and then Mike, if you can just make sure that gets to, I assume it's Cooper, but if you don't mind sharing that, we can make the circle back on that and kind of close the loop. I know that Will Mapco is, had been working on as you said, like a master plan for Route 202. I'm not really sure where that stands at this time. I don't know if it's on hold or not, but if you do, again, my long-winded answer, if you do want to just share your contact info in the question and answer, we will make sure that you get a response.
So
Thank you.
Pam,
Thank you.
If Amy sees my email, Jennifer.Sinelli@delaware.gov. Amy, it's on the slide that's showing right now. If you shoot me an email tomorrow, I will make sure that Cooper Bowers, my counterpart, gets a hold of that, and he is part of that coordination team with WMAPCO, and he'll be able to get back with you.
Okay, thank you so much. That's great. Thank you.
Awesome. So just FYI, we're going to be wrapping up shortly, unless Amy or Jared or Catherine, do you guys have any other questions or comments at this time for the meeting? Be happy to answer them or field them if you do. There's the only 3 attendees that we have right now. So if you guys don't have any other questions or anything, we're going to be wrapping up in the next couple of minutes. So I'll just mute myself and stop the video. And if you don't have any other questions, let's just say in the next 5 minutes, then we'll close down the presentation. Okay, thank you. We're going to be closing down the presentation. I would like to thank everybody for attending, and also a big, huge thanks to all of our panelists and our presenters. So thank you so much. Again, the public comment period is until November 15th. So encourage everyone to comment. That's all we have. Thank you so much. Hope everybody has a great evening. Take care.